This week on Let's Fish TV, we're at the Lower Laguna, and let me tell you guys, we're gonna be catching some really nice fish. And we're also gonna be talking about a brand new boat from Waypoint Customs called the Mamba 24 VX. You can learn all about it in this week's episode, and I promise you one thing, we're gonna have some really good fish catches that you're not gonna wanna miss. Let's Fish TV is on the air right now.
That is a fish. Oh man, look at this.
It's time for the only program that brings you real-time fishing reports from the Southwest region every week.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, look at that. Woo!
This is Let's Fish.
Welcome to Let's Fish TV. I'm your host, Andrew Upshaw, and today we're on the Lower Laguna. We're gonna be targeting redfish and trout, and let me tell you guys, we're dealing with a very tough condition, and that is a full moon. And let me tell you, fishing on full moon and saltwater can be really difficult, but there's one thing that I know for sure is we're gonna go out there and we're gonna figure it out, and we're gonna catch us some really nice fish. We're also gonna be fishing this week out of a brand new boat. This is the Mamba 24 VX by Waypoint Customs. Let me tell you, it is a bad son of a gun, and I cannot wait to showcase this brand new boat here on today's episode. We'll also have the fishing reports from your local region from our insider reporters. In the meantime, I'm gonna get this puppy launched, get it set up, toss it back to the studio for your weekend planner.
Thanks so much for joining us. These Salooner tables are predicting good game fish activity on Saturday and excellent activity on Sunday. Peak game fish activity begins around 10:13 Saturday and 10:53 late Sunday morning. Nighttime activity will begin around 10:38 on Saturday and 11:18 on Sunday night. Depending on where you are, the sun will rise around 6:21 and set around 8:28, and night fishing will be dark with only 4% moon visibility. Stay with us. We've got fishing reports across the area on the way. Plus, I'll return with Bassmaster Elite Angler John Cox, who's stopping by to answer your Ask the Pro question.
Golly, these things run like 100 miles an hour. It's a nice trout. Look at that thing just screaming across the surface over there. God, these things are so fast. He choked it too. Wow, we got a jumper today, guys. Wow, okay, I see you. Come here, baby. Oh man, guys, now check that out. Nice trout here. We're out actually here on the Berry Islands of the Lower Laguna, fishing for redfish and trout. And one thing about it, guys, is we are in a brand new boat, and I can't wait to show you a little bit about that. But so today what we're doing is we're fishing potholes. We're fishing these little potholes in these grass flats and taking our time just fishing through here. And we've caught already today a handful of really nice quality trout. One thing to keep in mind for all you guys that haven't been here before, you definitely don't lip these fish. You know, they have big teeth here in the front, and they have a lot of razor sharp teeth there on the lower end. But I mean, overall, just a beautiful fish. I mean, not a bad one. They had a really hard freeze down here a few years ago, and it knocked out their population a little bit, so we gotta take really good care of these trout. But such a beautiful trout here. Definitely a keeper. Let's get this fish back. All right, guys, today we're on the Lower Laguna, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit about how I prepped for this particular trip. So one thing that I utilize a lot of different places, especially freshwater, but also saltwater, is Google Earth. Google Earth can be your very best friend when breaking down a new body of water. It kind of gives you a landscape of what the area looks like. So one thing that I was looking for in particular was potholes that were adjacent to either small channels or the intercoastal canal. Now, I'm not talking about little potholes the size of a trash can. I'm talking about the real massive pothole areas that you could see, like giant big sand areas in the grass. These were really important because what these fish would do is they would funnel into these big pothole areas and they'd give them a place to kind of spread out. And that was one thing I was looking for because I knew the area was getting a lot of pressure. They had a lot of tournaments and we were dealing with a full moon. So paying attention to those little bitty details definitely help me to find more fish. But the other thing that I really like to do is finding areas that there's not a lot of boats in. Don't get me wrong, and when you get to an area like that, especially on a weekend, you're gonna have a bunch of boats around. But I wanted to find potholes that maybe weren't getting the amount of pressure that some other potholes were getting, and understanding that if I got in an area and I got a bite, I would slow down and keep making the drift, and that's a really important key as well.
Hi everybody, and welcome to this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you once again by Rapid Reticle, who reminds you farther, faster, more accuracy, less money. Lone Star for 20% off and free shipping. Now this week we're going to start at Lake Tawakoni, and the hybrid/sand bass bite is on fire. You need to know, however, there's a lot of small hybrids in with those sand bass, and you need to be able to differentiate the species if you're going to put fish in the box. You don't want to accidentally keep an undersized hybrid. The game warden will write you a certificate of accomplishment if you do. Now, to catch those fish, slabs, spoons, keep a topwater handy, a popper. Now at Richland Chambers, we're also looking for the hybrids and the sand bass out there, but not for catching them, for catching our catfish. Right now, channels and blues are hanging out under the big schools of sand bass mixed in with hybrids. They're taking the baits that are killed on the surface and fall to the bottom. So get your prepared baits, get your cut bait, your live baits, get them down below those schools of hybrids and sandies. You'll catch some Richland Chambers catfish. That's this week's Lone Star Lakes. Be sure and check us out on Facebook, Lone Star Lakes.
Oh, there we go. Oh, he's running 100 miles an hour. Nice little trout. Choked it too. There we go. Another keeper trout. I mean, guys, we're here at the lower Laguna catching a lot of different species of fish, and today caught them on a couple different things, from a caffeine shad to another little stick bait. But you know, this is the perfect size fish to really give you an example of, I'm gonna get this fish back real quick. Nice little eating fish. I mean, that's a perfect size eating fish. But I'm gonna show you a little bit about this boat and the live well system and bait well system that this boat has to offer. So let's go take a look in the back of the boat and let's go see what all this boat has to offer. All right guys, we're at the back of the boat and I wanna show you this live well system. This is probably one of the best live well systems I've ever seen. This particular live well system is absolutely top notch. It's gonna keep your fish alive, and it has an 1.5-inch drain in the bottom, so you can get that water out extremely fast. But let's open this thing up and take a look inside. You can see there's a giant stone in the bottom of this. I mean, this is gonna help keep those fish alive. That big, huge drain in the bottom. It's gonna be able to hold your big redfish and your big trout. Now, right next to it, you have a bait well. I mean, you could actually still use it as a live well, but in the case of live bait fishermen and stuff like that, you actually have a really big bait well here. So had I needed to have some bait, I could put my bait in here. Another thing that you will notice, it has a seal system in here at the top of the box. This seal system is around all the boxes. And so it actually is one of the only box lids that seals right up next to the seal, and no water is gonna get in those particular boxes. And that is a huge thing, especially in the salt water, and definitely makes a huge difference. You know, because you always have water kind of get in from splashing in waves and things like that. Well, you don't have that issue anymore because they have drains built perfectly in both corners, and there's enough of a slope that allows the water to drain out of here, so no more standing water in the bottom of the boat. And that is a humongous selling feature of this boat, and probably one of, if not my favorite things about it, because that is like one of my pet peeves. I hate when water's in the bottom of the boat, my feet get wet, especially if you have tennis shoes on, and it's frustrating to say the least. So they fixed that problem with Waypoint Marine here at Mamba Boats, and that is a huge, huge thing, and I think definitely something that I like about this boat.
Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Mercury, Go Boldly, Lowrance, America's #1 fish finder, Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, Alabama. Plan or book your fishing charter at orangebeach.com. Motor Guides Tour Pro with GPS anchor, powered by Passion. Coastline Trailers, built by fishermen for fishermen.
Check that out, guys. We're at the lower Laguna. Redfish on, baby. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. Oh, it's a nice one there, guys. Oh my gosh. See, one big important thing when you find these redfish like this is power pole down, because a lot of times there's gonna be way more of them. Oh my goodness. He is kicking my booty. But I'm using standard bass gear right here. This is just a Magnum Hammer 7.3 medium heavy. It's the same rod I would throw a chatterbait on for bass, and a 7.5 to 1 gear ratio reel, which once again is extremely important as well. Okay. Finally got him kind of tired. There we go. Oh, check that out, guys. We're at the lower Laguna here around the Outer Banks, Outer Islands, just outside of Corpus Christi. And we're catching some nice redfish today, guys. I'm gonna get this fish back real quick, and we're gonna talk a little bit about what we're doing here and what we're in, because it really is a pretty special day. Let's get this fish back. Woo! All right, guys, I wanna tell you a little bit about the boat we are in right now. You know, this boat was designed by the Poole family. The Poole family is composed of Jared and Jim Poole. They designed this boat, manufactured this boat in Corpus Christi, Texas. And let me tell you, they have 80 years of boating experience and boat building experience, boat selling experience. And they have built easily the best boat I've ever seen. For a bay boat, it's kind of like a mix, a hybrid between a bass boat and a bay boat. It has that V shape, but it also has the aerated pad on the backside, so it actually gets on plane. That nose lifts up like you would in a bass boat. And I'm gonna go and tell you, I hit some waves earlier that I would typically in a bass boat be like, oh my gosh, I gotta slow down. I didn't have to do that. I didn't feel a single thing. The seats alone have a shock absorbent rod in the bottom of them that make it to where you don't feel anything. Not to mention their hull is made with M80 foam, which actually cushions the blow of each of those waves. And it makes fishing out here, even on the windiest of days, way more comfortable, way more doable than getting out here in flats boats. But right now, I gotta get back out there. I got a huge school of reds, and I gotta see if I can catch me another one.
Hey friends, Captain Kevin Broussard here for Let's Fish This Week. I'm going to talk to you about Lake Calcasieu. We're going to start on the saltwater side. Tell you what, right now there's lots of wind blowing, but we're still catching lots of redfish. Live shrimp, 2 feet under a 4-horse cork seems to be the key there. Look for points, pockets, moving water. Lots of redfish getting caught on Lake Calcasieu, even though it's rough and the water's a little dirty. On the freshwater side of things, Toledo Bend Reservoir, the white perch have moved to the deep brush piles. Live shiners, 20 to 30 feet, lots of crappie getting caught. Some bass getting caught 15 to 25 feet of water, mostly Carolina rig and real deep diving crankbaits. Tell you what, for old Cajun Phil, Captain Kevin Broussard saying, happy fishing, may God bless, and we're going to see you next week.
Hi everyone, Captain Greg Verm here, bringing you another Texas Coastal Fishing Report. Hey, let's start this week's report right here in Galveston. This past week, we've had lots of windy days. This has hurt our water clarity in open bays and has caused us to tuck back in the protected back lakes and bayous. Jones Lake, Greens Lake, Karankawa, and Halls Lake, hey, they've all been best areas to target for redfish, specks, and flounder. The water temps, hey, they've reached the low 80s and looks like we're in for a hot summer here in Galveston. Now let's move south just a bit and talk Freeport, Texas. This past week, Captain Greg Varm Jr. has run a few charters down there and did very good on speckled trout targeting the jetty area and the harbor. Live shrimp under a popping cork has been the ticket. Hey, remember, if you want to fish Galveston or Freeport with me or my team here at Fishing Galveston, Texas, hey, give me a call, check out our websites. We'd love to have you aboard. I'm Captain Greg Varm. I'll see you next week.
Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Academy Sports and Outdoors, making it easier than ever to gear up and have fun out there. Visit Mississippi. Wanderers welcome. Power Pole. Total Boat Control. Balls Out. Made in the USA. Heavy-duty mounts for your fish finders.
Check this thing out, guys. Holy cow. What a great redfish that is. Check this thing out, guys. Holy cow. What a great redfish that is. Caught him on that gold spoon. And guys, I was just sitting there reeling it, and he absolutely clobbered it. Oh man, guys, check it out. We're here on the lower Laguna, and let me tell you, it has a great population of redfish. Let's get this thing back real quick. Well, let's talk a little bit about what we're doing today. So what we've done is basically drift these flats, these big expansive flats. And you know, it's really intimidating. And being somebody that primarily bass fishes like I do, coming to an area that is unknown and you kind of have to just figure it out, it's a very intimidating place. But I luckily had a couple people in my corner helping me out along the way. One of those was Jay and Ryan Watkins. They kind of gave me the right general area. And Mason Lincoln, another good buddy of theirs, really helped point me in the right direction. But at the end of the day, guys, you got to still go out there and try to catch some fish. So if you do get in a situation where you're like me and you've never been here before and you're trying to figure this place out, it's a really good idea to get one of those good guides like one of the people I just mentioned, and they'll be able to point you in the right direction. And another place, another resource that is in your corner is actually Waypoint Customs and Waypoint Marine. That whole group of guys, Jared and Jim, they know everyone. They have so many pro staffers around this area. I'm gonna head to the boat ramp. It's getting windy, and I wanna go in and get me a hamburger. So thanks y'all for watching, and I'll see y'all here in just a second.
Maybe Oklahoma's spring conditions are starting to settle some now, and we're transitioning into a period where both the weather and the fishing is going to get much more predictable. I know for one thing, June is always a really good fishing month in Oklahoma. I expect that to be the case again this year. 3 lakes to put on your radar for bass fishing right now: Sardis, McGee Creek, and Hefner. All 3 of those lakes you can catch the bass throwing soft plastic jerk baits, top water like buzz baits and pop-bars around brush cover. Now, one thing to remember at this time, if you have some muddy water, some of your very clearest sections are right where the water meets the shoreline itself, so think shallow. Crappie are also starting to move back out to their regular seasonal patterns, so be thinking about standing timber, think about the first break lines, some of the brush piles and stumps on those first break lines. but you can't catch them if you don't go.
Watch our latest episode or catch up on past episodes on our website at letsfishtv.com. Be sure to hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter for new fishing videos every day. And download the free Waypoint TV app to get all the latest episodes every week on your phone, tablet, computer, or smart TV. Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Lose, Feel the Difference, Mamba Boats, Ride with Pride, Strike King, Tie One On, Glacier Glove, stay outdoors longer with our gloves, hats, and shades, Fishing Specialties, makers of the premier mount assembly for live sonar.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's get right on to your Ask the Pro question for this week. This week, Ward would like to know, what is the easiest species of fish to catch and the hardest fish to catch? For the answer, we asked Bassmaster Elite Angler John Cox.
All right, I'm thinking the most easiest fish to catch. I'm gonna have to go with bluegill. I had a lot of bluegill in my backyard. They seem to eat a ton of bread, whatever you throw in, they end up eating. And they're fun to catch, and they get, the size of your hand, and put up a really good fight. The hardest one, I'm gonna have to go with largemouth. Sometimes they're easy, but boy, there's sometimes they just get in a funk and you can't catch them. I really noticed them, it's almost like they learn over being caught. I have some fish in my pond and I watched them over time get so used to being caught that they knew when it wasn't a real bait.
Thank you, John. If you want some help from one of the pros too, simply go to letsfishtv.com and follow that Ask the Pro link to submit a question.
Here's today's Right Stuff, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Today on the Lower Laguna, we're using a handful of different baits to catch our fish. Two in particular that I'd like to talk to you about today. These two particular baits are baits that I feel like you could go up and down the Texas coast and use and catch as many fish as you'd like to catch. The very first bait is a caffeine shad. This is a 5-inch soft plastic jerkbait that I put on a 16th ounce jig head. And I was hopping that thing through potholes in the grass. And the deal is with that, you can actually find trout and redfish in the exact same areas, and they'll eat that soft plastic jerkbait. Watermelon red seemed to be the color today. Catching them on 30-pound braid to a 20-pound fluorocarbon leader, and my favorite rod of all time, a 7.3 Magnum Hammer by Luz. And then we switched it up a little bit, and I started just solely fishing for redfish, using probably the most consistent redfish bait of all time, the weedless spoon. And what I was doing with that is I was actually just casting it as far as I could to any pothole I could see, and I just reeling it in real slow, kind of like you would a soft plastic swim bait. And let me tell you guys, the strikes that I had on that spoon were absolutely remarkable. And I was fishing once again 30-pound braid, 20-pound fluorocarbon leader, and a 7.5-to-1 gear ratio reel. It's really important to have a fast gear ratio reel when you're dealing with redfish and trout, because these fish are so quick, and you have to be able to crank them down as fast as you can to set the hook sometimes. So always remember that when you get out here, up your gear ratio if you can, and you'll catch more fish. Today I was absolutely blessed to be able to fish out of the new Mamba 24 VX. Jared and Jim absolutely outdid themselves at Waypoint Customs designing this boat. It has all the bells and whistles, and I really hope that y'all have enjoyed the walkthrough of this particular boat. This thing is absolutely amazing. You can check them out online. They have a lot of information on there about the new Mamba. But guys, I'm ready to go back to East Texas. I'm ready to go see my kiddo. I hope y'all enjoyed today's episode. Till next time, I'll see you on the water.